Hello, everyone. So I am Elena, Cognos Analytics Administrator. So tonight is going to be our first session. And here is the agenda. It's quite big. So I'm going to cover a lot, but don't worry, you'll have the recording and you will need to watch it more than once of certain portions of recording. So I'll show you how to access Cognos Analytics environment, show you how to get started, how to navigate the interface. We're going to talk about the difference between data sets and data modules. We're going to talk about the data preparation, data exploration, etc. There is a lot to cover, and I'll try my best not to run over 2 hours, but we'll see. All right. Uh, so, what is Cognos Analytics? Basically, it's a self-service and it has intuitive web-based interface where you upload the data and it's going to extract useful insights about the data for you. And it supports the data visualization. So basically, it could be as simple as you just drag and drop the field to canvas and it's going to give you a lot of useful insights. You may build interactive dashboards and stories. We're going to cover interactive dashboards and stories in another session. So, and you can also see which data is being actually visualized. It's possible to do reporting, but we're not covering reporting in this class, right? So that's just general overview of the application. Important, you're gonna be logging in to the remote PC, right? To use the Cognos Analytics. You want to avoid, when possible, avoid the browser back button because you may lose the work. Then remember that when you delete the file, it cannot be undone. There is no recycle bin. And if you delete the data source that you use to build visualizations, that's it. The visualizations become permanently invalid. And even if you upload the file with the same name, still no way, there is no way to fix. All right. So please save the work and start working on your assignments early. The earlier the better, right? So how do you access Cognos Analytics? I'm going to go to a classroom. Each session has a similar classroom structure. If you scroll down, you're going to see something it says virtual lab, right? So you click here, virtual lab environment, virtual lab, and you click on the shortcut to access Cognos Analytics. So when you do that, you're going to be taken where? To the login page, right? It's opening up Cognos Analytics login page. You're launching the application. Now what? Remember, it's not your email and it's not your UMGC password. That's going to be something different. And I'll show you. So let's launch the login page. All right, so this is a login page, right? So what is going to be your Cognos username? All right, so Cognos username is a portion of your email. It's not the entire email that ends with student.umgc.edu. It's only the first piece that right before the ad. And everybody's password is welcome. So password must contain one number. So I just took the word welcome, replaced letter E with number 3 because number 3 is above letter E on the keyboard. And I put an exclamation point. It has to have a special character and one uppercase letter. So that's a password. It's welcome. Right? Just remember that this is everybody's password for you. Everybody's password is the same. Welcome. And for example, see this, if this is your email, student email, then your username is this piece. All right. I hope it makes sense. So after this session, please try accessing your account. So now, but for the purpose of this demonstration, of course, I'm not using my admin account. I created a demo account and it has the same permissions as your account. So just, demo. Okay, I'm gonna log in right now. And what do you see when you log in? Well, first of all, this is a welcome page, right? Here, this is where you can ask quick questions about your data, and I created several videos. There is a video on how to use this piece of an application. Then, what else do you have in here? If you scroll down, here you will have a tile for each file that you had recently opened. Right? At the moment, I did not open anything, and you can now go back to. If you click here, right? You have Do you see this? First of all, you can use this new menu to create new things like new dashboards, new data modules, but I'll prefer doing it different way and I'll show you. So now I'm gonna click on content right now. And where does it take us? The content area is split into several sections. My content, those are the files that are only I can see. Those are my work, right? My classmates cannot see it. Nobody can see it, just me. Team content, what is done for you here, you've got some pre-installed files such as calendar, samples, those are the pre-installed. But the most important piece here is this folder, data for data 605 assignments. The way it's organized into subfolders, so if I click here, you see these three subfolders. In the first subfolder, you'll find the data that you're going to use for Unit 2 quiz and your assignment. Then here is the data for Unit 3 through 5. And then here for Unit 6 through 8. And here you have some choice. There are several choices of data here. But for your very first assignment, your data set is here. This is insurance data. But this data is located where? In the team content. You will need to make a copy of this data to my content. So what you do is you click here, this opens menu, actions menu, and you're going to select copy to, right? So where you're going to copy it to, you're going to select what my content. And notice that here, this is a path where I'm currently located. But you cannot save anything in the team content. You can only save work to the my content. So I'm going to make, I do this and I do copy, right? Then I go back to my content and I verify that the file that I just copied is here, right? So for the very first assignment, you work from this data directly. You're gonna just go here and create data exploration. You're just gonna do it straight, right? But there are limitations to that, and I'll talk to you. So here was the access thing. This is the welcome page, right? We talked about that. I talked to you about the menu, and I started talking about the content, right? So another thing to mention here is that as you get more files in here, there are some options that you have where you can choose to see only you can choose to see only specific types of file, right? You can do the search. You can search by file name and etc. See, but right now I have a file selected. I need to unselect it, right? So I click team content. I click back here. So you see this? Okay, so you've got these options. You have a list view, you have a grid view, right? Then you can also add subfolders if you like. See here, you click on this to add a subfolder. Then you can filter just to see, perhaps you want to see only data, or if you want to see just the dashboards, right? Or if you don't remember what you named the file, but you know you created it today, so you can click on today, right? Something like that. So now I'll just do all right now. So you've got this and you can sort stuff. So this is just basically sorting easy stuff, right? All right. So you may think it's easy, but it's gonna build up, right? So yeah, I see the question. The username, it's a beginning, it's the first part of the email. Because username must be unique, right? But that piece at student@umgc.edu does not add uniqueness, right? So I just pick the first part. So first part of the email. That's gonna be your username. And all student accounts have been created. And the slides will be posted. Okay. So what closed out? I'm not following. What's the question? Oh, those things. Okay, got it. Sorry. Okay, is it better now? Thank you for letting me know. All right. So now, here it is. You're gonna be working straight from the data for the first assignment, right? So this is how to access your data. You need to copy it, right? You just copy it. Now, for the purpose of tonight's demo, I'm going to be using claims and weather data just for today's demo. Data stores customer information such as customer ID, the customer location, right? Some demographics such as employment type, etc. It also stores the type of vehicle that the customer drives, the type of insurance claims that was submitted, type of coverage, and based on that, we're trying to estimate the total claim number, all right? So this is the data, but please note that here, do you see some blank, blank, blank? So some values in this data are missing, right? So why missing values are a problem? Think about it. We're gonna discuss how to handle this, but missing problem, right? So there are multiple ways to handle it and we'll discuss, but note they're missing values, all right? So for the first assignment, you're working straight from the data. Like here, you go to click here and do create data exploration, right? Create exploration. This is how you're going to be working for the first couple weeks. But here is an issue here. You cannot open this data to preview it directly. Now, suppose that I want to add a calculation. I want to add a calculated column, right? If I use data straight, I would have to add it to my data exploration, right? Or to the dashboard, whatever I'm creating, I would have to add it. But then what if I want to create another data exploration file? I would have to recreate my calculation, right? So see, it's a lot of repetitive work. If I use the data straight and if I start defining things in data exploration, such as calculations, etc., changing properties, I would have to redo all this work each time I create the new exploration from the same data, right? So that leads us to another topic, and you'll be doing it eventually. You will be creating the data module. The data module allows you to customize in the data. You add the calculation, you can add the navigation path, you can you can create the calculations and data groups, and what you do in there, it's reusable across all explorations and all dashboards where you use the data module and the same source. But even though you're creating the data module, you might think, okay, I can go ahead and delete my original data set. No, you cannot, because once you delete the data set, data module becomes invalid, and all visualizations where you use the data module as a source become invalid. So please think twice before you do delete, all right? So now let's create the data module. See, I start straight from data module because it makes more sense, all right? Because the concepts that you get here, you can apply to analyzing just data straight. So let's go here and I'm gonna click what? Create data module. Let's see what happens. So what does this here happen? This is a data that I use as a source to create my data module. It's claims and weather. So this is data module. What is this here? I see the list of my columns in my data, right? See, those are the columns. And then when I click here, I'm gonna see my data. It's a preview of the data, right? But do you remember I just showed you the screenshot of the data? One thing is missing in a screenshot, this row ID. What is this row ID? This column is hidden. So when a column is hidden, it means it exists in data module, but it's not available for data visualizations. It's not going to be available in explorations that you will be creating, right? But I'll take a look at it here. What is it null? Missing values are represented as null. Null means the value is missing, all right? And a lot of data is missing the value for effective to date. And notice that if effective to date is missing, it's also missing other columns, right? Just note, just an observation. And what do I have here across here? Those are the column names, right? Column names here also. But then I can also click on any column and I can see the column properties, right? Like for example, I can click on the total, I select total claim, and I can click here and I can choose properties. That will open the property window, and there are several properties here. Column label This is how the column is actually displayed, right? Column usage, so this is measure, but now I'm gonna change one of the property. Here, the aggregate tells how the data is being summarized. Like for example, if I want to look at total claim by state, I don't want to look at the sum of all total claims. I want to look at the average, right? So I'm gonna make this change in the data module, and this change will apply wherever I use this data module as a data source. I don't need to repeat this change multiple times, right? So now here, if you want to, you could add the description, it's optional. Screen tip is what's gonna appear if you hover over that column in the visualizations, right? Etc. You don't need to worry about those. So just know, so this is reading data directly from the Excel file, but you can define the calculations on top of it, right? So that's the column properties. And also, see that column, the first column is hidden, right? Why would you want to hide columns? Well, in this case, it's an ID, it's not relevant to analysis, but sometimes you may have sensitive data such as customer name, you may have something like a social security number, you want to hide this from users who's gonna do visualization, right? Now, always save your work. So let's save this data module. You're gonna click on a floppy disk. Now I'm gonna say this claims and weather data module, claims and weather data module, right? Right, I saved this and now, am I going to save it to the team content? No. See, Yelena took care of permissions. See, the save button is grayed out because you can't save anything in the team content. You have to save it to my content. This is your area, right? And you're gonna click on save. And now you save the data module. Here, those are the undo redo buttons. I know I told you that you cannot undo the deletion, but this is just undo the changes. Like you change the column property, you can undo the change, right? Now, if you wanted to hide the column, right? Suppose I want to hide the customer ID, I would click here and see this hide from users, hide, and now I can switch back to show, right? Uh, there is a difference between deleting a column. If you delete the column, it will be gone. All calculations that use that column will become invalid. If you just hide it, it won't. You may still use it in calculations within data module, but it won't be visible outside the data module. So, right. So now, if you this is a file name. If you see the asterisk next to the file name, that means your latest change was not saved. So just remember that piece, okay? You need to know, how do I know if I saved the last change? If you see the asterisk, it means you did not. You need to save the last change, right? So let's go to slides. So I'm just showing you a general interface in here, and I labeled it, and you're gonna have the copy of this. So this is I'm just showing you the data preview. You selected the grid, and each icon represent different data types, right? So, and you preview in the data, which you cannot do if you're using regular data. And you may undo up to 20 changes. All right. So I showed you how to save the data module. You just click on a floppy disk, put the data module name, and make sure you select the My Content. You don't have permission to save anything in the team content, correct? So here I just showed you the properties. Label is just editable column name. You can edit it. You can hide or show the column. You can edit the column expression. Column expression tells how data is being read from the file, right? From the Excel file. Aggregate property tells you how the data is being summarized, right? Data type, it inherits the data type from the source usually, right? And I showed you comment is optional and screen tip, those are the optional. So just know that piece here. Data preparation, what's data preparation? Well, sometimes you want to add filters. Like for example, in my case, I want to filter out the rows that missing effective to date because apparently those rows are missing too many values in other column. So that's part of it. Then you can hide certain columns from the view. You may change column properties like I just showed you, the different types of aggregation. You handle the missing values. One way to handle the missing values is to remove the rows missing a value, but then the problem is you might end up losing some valuable data, right? Then you can try the imputation. For instance, if it's a missing income, you can set it to the column average. But then again, here you're introducing some bias to the data. So you need to kind of decide what you want to do. If a lot of values in a column are missing, you can hide the column, right? Or you can treat the missing values as a separate category. Like, for example, if accident type is not specified, you can handle it as others, right? So you can add the calculations, you can add data groups and navigation paths. How much I cover depends on the time, right? I try to cover as much as possible. So I showed you how to hide the column, right? You just click on it, show hide. That's as simple, isn't it? Well, now we're going to talk about adding filters. What's a filter? Filter specifies the conditions that the data must meet to stay, right? And I'll show you two types of filters. There are two types of filters here. The first filter is embedded filter. So when you define, that filter will be applied immediately, right? So if you click here, if you go to properties, over here, see this, I go to properties, then I can go to filters, and then I want to manage filters. But instead of selecting specific column, I would like to select wire expression editor. I would like to use expression editor. Now I'm going to click add filter. This opens the expression editor. So what is this? Here are my columns in the data, right? And here I have the operators. Oops, here, f of x, here the operators. So here just basic operators such as plus, minus, right? Then there is something called is missing, is not missing, is null. Then there are some constructs such as if then else, right? Something like that. So now what we want to do is we want to keep the rows if effective to date is not missing, right? So we specify the condition. We go here and we're gonna find the field, and field is effective to date. I just drag here, right? And what about effective due date? It's not missing, so I can type is not missing, or just to make sure I get it spelled correctly, I can just find the operator here, right? Is not missing. I can just drag and drop in here. So the condition is effective due date is not missing. Any rows that missing effective due date will be immediately filtered out when I apply this filter. But I have to put the filter name. So effective due date, let's do effective due date is not missing, right? So that's a filter name. Now, what else you need to do, and I think this is important, you need to go and make sure that the syntax is valid. How do you do that? In here, you click on validate. Well, you don't want to have any syntax errors, right? Well, because you know it's not going to work as expected, and the data module will become invalid. So make sure no syntax errors, and then you can also format this one, prettify. This is just formats for you. Now what you're gonna do, you're not gonna close this window, but you're gonna click on OK to save the filter. Now I have to save this data module as well. Save, right? So the filter is applied immediately. I no longer see the missing values, right? They're gone. Make sense? So now I said there are two types of filter. First filter is embedded, is applied immediately. Second type of filter is selectable, where I want to apply it as I want. If I want to apply it to visualization, I just apply it right there. I define it, but it does not get applied immediately. It's something that I can turn on and off, so to speak, right? So let's go back to the slides. I spelled out for you the steps to add the embedded filter, right? You can go to properties and open filters from properties, or you can just select manage filters from that menu, right? So that will create the embedded filter. Embedded filter applies right away. And if you have a selectable filter, it does not apply right away, right? You will see selectable filter will be applied whenever you tell it to apply. So what you do, let's say I want my visualizations. I have a lot of visualizations where I want to look at policy personal for the small vehicle. I want to look at the personal policy and for the small vehicle. In other words, the policy type contains personal and the vehicle size contains small, right? I want to do something like that. So, well, if I already have a working expression, I can copy and paste straight from the slide, right? I can copy and paste this from the slide. Now, this is not my PC. We cannot copy and paste directly, but I'll show you how. Well, sometimes directly works, sometimes it does not. But let's do this. Let's create another filter. We're gonna create the filters that we can turn on and off. So I click here, and I'm gonna select filter. Now, very important. I want to name my filter. I want to put the descriptive name, such as a personal coverage for small cars, right? And I already have my expression. I can just paste. Oops, it worked. Sometimes it does not. But if I did not have the working expression, this is what you could do. You would have to find the policy type and you would drag and drop, because sometimes you're quite not sure what the column name is, right? So I would go here. I would have to find the policy type, and if I don't see it right away, I can just do policy. I can type, right? So this is policy type. See what's happening? I'll tell you what's happening. It's taking data straight from the Excel, and this is a worksheet name in Excel file. That's what it is. So it's accessing it from Excel file. All right. So contains as an operator. So I just say this Pacific company, read company policy type contains the word personal, and I want the vehicle size to contain the word small, right? And it's very important to put descriptive name. I'll show you why later. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna click OK. But now, wait a minute. I'm gonna go back to my data, and if I look at it, I said I want the policy type to be personal. But if I look at the actual data, do you see this? I see corporate, right? Why do I see corporate? Because the filters that I created is a selectable. It's not applied right away. I can apply it in visualization. I may have some filters with conditions that I want to reuse in multiple visualizations. So why define it multiple times? I define it here once, and then I just drag and drop, right? I want to reuse my work, all right? So this filter does not apply immediately. It applies when you specify to apply. Oh, take a look at it here. So this is the name of data module. What else is important? Do you see this little asterisk? It means I have not saved the latest change. I need to save my latest change. I better do. Because if something happens, if I lose power, I'm going to lose the work. Not good, right? So now let's go back. So that's a selectable filter, right? Just note. We have missing values. I showed you can remove the rows with missing values, but you can take another approach. You can set it to the average, right? So how would you do it? I just know that income column still have some missing values. So we need to find our income column here. This is income column, right? And I'm gonna select the properties. And in the properties here, I want to click on view or edit expression. So now I'm gonna use the if then else construct, right? So I go to here, these are the functions, and I'm gonna select the construct, and I want to do if then else. Why? Because I want to do something like if income is missing, If it's missing, I want to set it to the column average. If it's not missing, I want to keep it as is, right? So else it's going to be as is, right? It's reading it straight, right? Want to make sure you understand what's is beneficial to use filters. Well, okay, so if you want to use embedded filter, it means that the data, the filtered data, won't be available for visualizations at all. It will just filter it out immediately. And the data that you use for visualizations will exclude those records, right? Like, for example, there are certain records that are missing a lot of values, and I just want to exclude them. It's just an example, all right? So that's immediately. My visualizations will not cover those data points. I filtered out those rows altogether. Selectable filter, for example, I want to look at specific set of cars very often, quite a lot. And I don't want to keep on defining it multiple times, right? So I defined it once, okay? All right. So I hope it helps. I understand it's a lot of information. So now, what I have to say here, if income is missing, right? Is missing, then I want to do what? I want to take an average, right? And what's an average? It's just an average. There is an operator here, and the operator is called what? Average, right? So now I need to, or I can do this if I know the operator. If I know the operator name, I can just go ahead and type, right? Average, and it's gonna give me the options, average. And what average? Average income, of course, right? I want to take the average income. Well, it's just an example. I'm just giving you an example of how to handle the missing values. So now, now what? Let's see. Let's see if our expression is valid. So I'm gonna do the validate, it's valid, and now I'm gonna do I like to do prettify. I like to indent so it's easier to read. All right. So that's good. So far, so good. I hope it's good. So now click OK. So here I'm showing you an example on how to handle for the numeric, but also what I did for you is there is a playlist and you have a link in the slides. So here I showed you an example of how to handle the missing values for numeric, but here there is also a video on how to handle the missing value for the categorical column. You have a link to this playlist, and I keep on adding more and more. We started using Cognos 12 from last semester, so far I have created 21 videos, and I keep on creating based on questions and based on key assignment requirements. All right, so you have this video. You have also another example of embedded filter and selectable filter. I use the same filtering condition and I show you the difference, right? So you have these videos, but this is a big session, a lot of topics, right? So sometimes you want to look at certain topics separately, you have that option. If there is anything else that you would like to see, tell me and I'll try to record more videos, right? So this is just right. This is how to fill in missing values for numeric. What is calculation? Calculation is just an expression and we use it to create new column, right? So you can use the predefined functions. You can use different operators. Like, for example, here, do you see this? I have something like, I have monthly premium. And suppose that I want to do the annual premium. How do I do that? Well, I can just click on this column here and I can do this create calculation. And I like to use the calculation editor. That's my preference. So here I can say something like annual, right? Annual premium author. And to calculate this column, I can just say this. I can say monthly premium author multiplied by 12, right? So that's going to add a new column and it's going to call it annual premium author. It's going to be monthly premium multiplied by 12. So if I click on OK, it's going to add another, you're going to see it's going to add another column, but it adds them to the front. So see, this is annual, right? Annual premium author, okay? So this is a calculation. I did something simple, but you can do something more complex, like a running count. You can do something like a splitting different, parsing different strings, etc. There are functions, so I'll let you play around with them, right? Play around with functions, and if you want to see something specific, I'll be more than happy to create more videos, right? But so this is just showing you step how to create a calculation. You got the calculation editor where you're gonna enter expression, right? And you save it, it will be added as a new column to the data module. Why are we doing it as a data module? Because, well, if I create multiple exploration workbooks and create multiple dashboards from the same data source where I want to use that calculation, right? I don't want to recreate this calculation multiple times. I want to create it once and use it. Why redoing the work? You know what I'm saying? Now, there are two types of calculations. There is embedded calculation and a standalone calculation. Embedded calculation adds another column. When you add another column to the data, so that's embedded. But sometimes, suppose that I want to store the overall average income, right? Suppose that I want to just store overall average income for one or another reason. Am I going to store it as many times as the number of records in the data? Am I going to add it as a new column? Probably not, right? I want to store it as a single value. So how do you do it? You would click here, right? And you would create calculation here. See, note you're not clicking on this here. You're clicking up here, and you can do this calculation. And in this case, I want to take the average income, overall average income. So there are two types of calculation. There is an standalone, which is stored just by itself, or it can be embedded as a column. All right. So here, I need to take income, so I just drag and drop the income. Okay, cool. So that's gonna take the average income. Always you need to validate the syntax, and always, well, I like to make it indented because that way it's easier to read. And I'm gonna click on OK. It just creates an embedded calculation, right? Oops, I did not rename it, but if I want to edit it, I can always go here and say edit calculation, and I can say something like average income, right? Something like that, and it calculates the overall average. And I'm just gonna click on OK just to save it. I'll save it, right? I'll just save it here. Make sense? Now, what else can you do is a data preparation. There are a lot of stuff here. Data groups, right? Why would you want to create data groups? There is something called binning. Like, for example, well, maybe an example that makes more sense for you right now is your grade. You're going to be getting numeric grades on assignments, but if you look at your academic records, you have letter grades A, B, C, right? So letter A stands for 90 through 100. B stands for 80 through 89, right? So in other words, you're creating the bins. It's similar to binnings. And you can bin numeric columns, and you can also build the text columns, right? So I can show you how to do this for numeric. Like, for instance, I want to bin the number of policies in this case. So I find my number of policies, right? So I want to look at the ranges instead of looking at specific numbers. So I click here, and I can do this, create a data group. That will create a new column. So it will be called by default number of policies group. By default, there are 5 groups, okay? 5 by default. But if you want to, you can always change the number of groups, and you can change the group boundaries, right? So, well, here, those are the group labels, right? I specify the boundaries, and then those are the labels. This is how the values will appear: less than 3, 3 to 5, etc., right? Now what? You have to save it, right? And how do you save it? You have to scroll down and you have to click on create. And you can also specify where missing values go if you want. So now I'm gonna click on create. Well, nice, right? For numeric columns, it gave me the groups. It created 5 groups for me already. I don't need to worry about actually adding those groups, but this is not the case for categorical. For categorical, you have to explicitly define the groups, right? Like scissors, like for example, here I have policy, right? Maybe I want to do something like policy group. I want to group all personal in one. I want to group all corporates in one, right? And I want to group all, I think it's another one called special. I want to group them. So how do I do it? I can click here. I can go create data group. So here is a list of values, right? Huh? What happened? Everything okay? Laura, everything okay? Okay. Okay, I'll ignore that comment. Anyway, so here, those are the values of that column, the possible values in that column. Those are text values. Now, you need to explicitly define the group names, right? If I want to group all corporate into one, all personal into one, so perhaps I create a group here and I'm gonna rename it as corporate, right? Corporate. And then I can just add stuff to it. How do I add? I select what I want to add. Selecting multiple works too. And I click on this arrow. See, it added it. Now I create another one. And another one is going to be what? Personal. I'm just showing you how to do it. But when you work with your data, you're going to decide what calculations and what groupings you add. You decide it for you, right? So go here, select this, or you can do one at a time too, but I'm trying to save time. Now you're gonna change this to special, right? Special. All right, so now I'm gonna select this, all of this, and I'm gonna move this to special. And at any time, if you decided that you move the value to the wrong location, you can do select here and remove, right? You can remove it from that group. Now I have to click on create. Otherwise, it won't be saved, right? Oops. And I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna click save. All right, good. So now this is about the data groups. There is a lot of stuff on data preparation, but if you want to see something in more depth, please let know and the videos will be created, right? If possible. Now, navigation path. What is navigation path? Basically, it allows you to drill down. Uh, some columns may have a hierarchical structure. Like for example, I want to look at the data distribution by the state, then I want to look at the location code within the state. So those visualizations allow you to drill down. To do that, you need to create the navigation path. It just defines the hierarchy. But I need to define it in a data module if I want to be reusable across wherever I use the data. So how do we do that? We go here. Do you see this navigation path? I click here and I want to do something like a state, right? I can do state or state code, does not matter in this case. And in the state, I want to do location such as rural, suburban, etc., right? Location code. So I will be able to drill through my data, look at perhaps I want to look at the number of people, percentage of people by the state. And then I want to, within each state, I want to further drill down by location code, something like that. So that allows me to drill through my data. And name is going to be, by default, it's just going to pick up this first column and second column, all right? And when we get into data exploration, I need to remember to show you how to use it. All right, so that's a navigation path, right? Now we're gonna do the data exploration. The fun part begins, right? All right, so here we just did some data preparation here and there, right? We added some filters. We have a selectable filters that we can turn on and off. I'm gonna save this. Now what? I'm gonna close this and I'll go back to where this is the content. Um, there are multiple ways to create the data exploration. You can go here, you can click on new and select data exploration. You can do it this way. But if you do it this way, you would have to specify the data source. There is an extra step, right? You can click on new here and then select exploration, that's fine, but you would have to specify the data source, right? So instead, my preferred way is go to the data source that I know that I want to use. I click here and I select create exploration. All right, I do create exploration. Now what? What do I see? It tells me the starting points. What is starting point? Those are the columns that I might be interested in analyzing in that data. For this specific data, we probably want to look at the total claim amount. It makes sense, right? We know the customer information and we want to predict the total claim. Yes, you will have access to this file. Excellent question. Excellent. And I'll show you. So let's do this. Let me save this. Well, okay, I'll show you later because right now, or I can just exit here without saving. I'm gonna exit without saving, right? You have access to the data source. I'll show you. I'll close it without saving for right now for a minute. If you go to the team content, right? You go back, team content. What I did here, I created this folder and I called it walkthrough data. So this is the data that I'm using today, okay? So just know it's there for you and uploaded it in for the other term. Back when we had the session in the other term, I uploaded the copy of the data. So it had been thought in advance. I knew that some people will ask, so I thought about it. All right, so this is a data module. I do here and I do create data exploration, right? But what you'll need to do is you will need to, if you want to follow along, you'll need to save a copy of the data to my content, right? Because you cannot modify anything that is in a team content. All right. Now, what is this? Take a look at this. Those are the starting points. It suggests, it analyzes my data and it's trying to kind of like guess what I'm trying to do. In my case, I'm trying to look at the total claim amount. And take a look at this. What is this here? Those are the data source. This is in our data module, isn't it? So what is this? Those are the data groups that I created. This is the annual premium, right? Remember, I created this calculation. It's here. Okay, but what is this? This is a selectable filter, but if I did not use the descriptive name, there is no way to know what this is. There is no way without going back to data module. So I have to use descriptive names whenever possible because there is no way to know what it is, right? Here, this is a standalone calculation, right? Here's a navigation path. Whatever I created in data module is available now here because I use the data module as a source, okay? So you might be wondering if you create data exploration, may I still add another calculation to data module? Yes. You would need to just reopen the exploration after you do that, right? You can still add calculations to the data module later on, but be careful with deletions because if you delete something from data module, wherever that column is used, the visualizations will become invalid. So watch out, right? So this step here, you're gonna select what total claim amount, as I said, right? What's gonna happen right now? Let's see. This is gonna give me what relationship diagram, and I created a video about this diagram. What is this? Each column is represented as a pin, and column of interest is represented as a dark pin. So see that also if I hover, it's gonna give me the column in the data source, right? Those are the columns that are used as the predictors. Remember that piece. Uh, well, uh, well, you won't be able to. Well, what you'll do is you're gonna take the you're gonna make a copy of the data that I'm giving you and save it into my content. What I was saying that if I go back to my data module and if I delete the column from data module and that column is used in one of these visualizations here, it's gonna be a problem, right? So just be careful with what you delete. Well, you can make a copy and delete in a copy, but if you delete in a copy that is used for visualizations here, there's gonna be a problem. Hopefully I help. So I hope it helps. I know it's gonna take a little bit of time to work on it. Once you start working on it, you'll get it. Okay, well, what is this? Here, this is the column I'm trying to predict, column of interest, and those are the predictors. When you have a little line in here, it means that there is a relationship between these two columns. And here, if I hover, it's going to show me the relationship strength. The thicker the line, the higher is the strength, right? And in this case, it's only showing me the primary relationships, right? So the relationship between the column of interest and other columns that are direct. I have an option here, and I can include the secondary relationships. Secondary relationships can be a relationship between predictors, not necessarily between predictors and a column of interest. See this like this. Now if I want to undo, I can just uncheck, or I can just do I can undo. See here, undo, redo. Oh, nope, it's not going to be applied to this diagram. It's only applied if you add visualizations. It does not apply in this case. Okay. Well, here, you can you can define the filter on relationship strengths, but by default, everything with a strength on 10% is omitted. Now here, based on which columns you select, right, you can select here. It's going to give you the suggested visualizations. And if you're interested in this visualization, you can just go ahead and click add. That will add visualizations to your visualization workbook. It adds them as cards. Cards is just a visualization, right? See that? So I can just add my cards. Those are called starting points. It gives me some visualizations that it believes I'm interested to start from, right? And etc. So I can just select them, and then I could also modify, and I'll show you. Oh, this is a good one. This is a driver analysis. I'll just click on select. All right. So this is one way to add visualizations. You can start from suggested visualizations, right? And this is, you got the relationship diagram. We talked about the data source. Well, of course, you can go ahead and add the calculations. You can define the filters here. The problem is, what's going to happen? These filters, the calculations that you create here will be available only here. But what if I want to create another exploration from the same data source, right? I don't want to do my work twice. I want to define it once, right? So just remember that. All right. Now, did I save my work that I've done so far? I don't think so. See this asterisk here? It says I didn't save. So now I'm going to click on the save, and I'm going to save something like claims and weather data exploration. Oh, it picks up. See, it remembers how I saved things before. Now, here, what is it? I'm going to go to my content. See, the save button is grayed out because you don't have permission to save anything in our team content. Only admin do. So this account that I'm using right now, it has the same permissions as your accounts. So here I go to my content, and I'm going to go here and save. All right. So I save this exploration. Always save. Now I'm going to go back. I showed you how to create a data exploration. This is my way to do it. There are multiple ways, so you choose what works for you. All right, I chose what works for me. So those are it's showing you the columns of interest. You select this, and it shows you this. This is called data relationship card. That's another way for this. So if you clicked on skip, right, you can still go back to it because it adds this card if you take a look at it, see this, if you go to cards, it adds this data relationship card here. So I can always go back to this view. All right. So now we're gonna go back here. All right, so I just showed you, I just spelled it out for you. And remember that relationship with the strengths under 10% are omitted, right? Now, this is just showing you the data source, that each icon represents what the data type, right? Oh, and you can also do for categorical columns, you can click here, it's gonna give you the values. Oh, you don't want to expand the customer country. Oh, here is an example where you might want to hide the column, because see this country, everything is US, right? So what's the point? We know everybody is in US. But here the state code, those are the values of the state codes, right? And there are 5 in this case, 5 states, right? You can see the values here, which is kind of nice. What else is in there? Let's go back. So this is the selectable filters that you created, right? If you did not use descriptive names, there is no way to know how you defined it without going back and forth to the data module. I showed you how to save, right? Now we're going to dive into the details, how to add different explorations, etc. So I showed you can add the starting points here, right? Or you can add a brand new exploration. See, go here, those are the cards. Each exploration is a card, right? So here, this one is just showing the average claim amount. And if I click on this here, those are the fields. Fields are required, right? Those are the data that you're trying to visualize. So in this case, I wanted to show this as an average. I want to show the average total claim amount, right? It's just an average. Then if I wanted to, I could add the local filters to visualizations. I can do, for example, what is an average total claim amount for personal coverage for small cars? So I can just drag and drop this filter here, and my calculations will be adjusted. See this? I don't need to redefine the filter multiple times. I defined it in data module, so that's one thing. Now I'm gonna remove this filter and I'm gonna show you something else. Let's perhaps, I wanted to do the, I want to do something like the state, right? So I drag and drop the state into the filter area, right? Now what I want, this is the average for all states, right? But if I do this like this, Kansas and Iowa, if I select just these 2 states and click done, it's going to show me the average claim amount for these 2 states, right? This is the average total claim amount for these 2 states because I selected those specific states. Right now I'm showing average, but what I could also do is I can change how the data is being summarized, right? And I can choose a minimum, or I can also do the maximum, right? Summarize maximum. It's gonna look at those 2 states that I selected, right? Or I can go back to average. Well, I can just click on undo, right? That will undo what I did, and I can remove this filter altogether. I can just do this, remove filter. That removes the filter, all right? So here you can also change the fields that you're using for visualization, right, etc. So in this case, what did I did? I used the visualizations that was given to me, right? I can do this. I can also do related visualizations. Cognos is going to try to give you something else that you might be interested in based on what you're looking at, right? So I can pick any of these visualizations and add them to my workbook if I want, right? What else you can do? You can pin it. Pin is nothing but bookmarks. Those are sets of visualizations set aside. So if you have certain visualizations that you want to use across multiple dashboards, you would pin them and it will show up in here in this area. But we're going to discuss pins more next session. Then what else here? You can look at the different summary and etc. Right? Oops, those are the different visualization types. Let's just close it. Now you can look at this insights. See here, it's giving me insights about this visualization, etc. Now what I can do, I can select, let's create another visualizations totally from scratch. How do I do it? Well, I have to add the card. I'm adding the card, right? Select the card. Now what? I need to do choose type, and I want to do the tree map, something like that. Let's find it. Always struggle finding it. It's always hiding from me. So not the crosstab, not the summary, not the heat map, but let's see, this one here, part of the whole tree map. Let me select this. Now what I want to do, if I want to do the percentage, right? So, and if I want to do the, see this is the area hierarchy. So I'm gonna specify, do you remember we created this navigation path? So I want to drag and drop this here, this guy here. Oh, I have to click here and take this, the first one. Drag and drop. So that's going to be my hierarchy. Now remember this. If you see an asterisk next to the data slot name, it means that you might specify the field to see visualization. Size, I want it to be the number of people. So how do I do it? Well, I have a customer ID, right? And I can summarize the customers. So just going to do the count distinct. It's going to do the count distinct, and the size is going to be the number of customers. So see this? What is this? This shows me the percentage of customers by state, right? I selected this. Now, those are just the fields, okay? Now I can click here and I can preview the data that is being summarized. It's showing me the number of customers for each state, right? And also, I think sometimes this visualization is easier to visualize than a pie chart because it's easier to see which sections are higher. Now, drill down. What is this? I click on this section. For example, this is a Missouri, right? I can click on this. Oops, it's not. See this? I can just click on this, right? Click and I can do the drill down. See this? I right clicked and I select the drill down. What's gonna happen is it's gonna drill down. It's gonna show me the number of people here by the suburban area within the selected state. So if I go here, if I click on data being visualized, see this? State is in Missouri, and I'm drilling down inside the Missouri. And see the location code, and this is the number of customers, right? So this is a hierarchy, all right? Yes, you're gonna get a copy of this recording. Absolutely, Ben. You're gonna get a copy of this recording, you're gonna get slides, and you have the data, right? And you also have these videos. This is just a gift. And the link to these videos is posted in slides also. And I gave it to your professors. There are gonna be more videos. I'll keep adding to it. I promise that I'll keep adding to it. Right now there are 21. But as things come up, I add, right? We had another different playlist for earlier version of Cognos, but this is 12. We just started using 12. So I keep adding things to the playlist gradually, okay? So this is the just data being visualized, okay? That's what it is. See, this does not show the location code. Now, how do I go back? Okay, I right click and then I can do the, I think it's navigate. And then I can go back to the state code here. All right. I went back to my state codes. Piece of cake, huh? No, it's not. It's easy on paper, but it's gonna take, there is a learning curve, trust me, okay? Now what? I showed you that visually what I showed you earlier, right? The relationship diagram. And suppose that if you clicked on skip, well, you can still get back to it, right? You click on a card and this is a card here. You can come back to it at any time. Now there is a very important visualization. Let's do create card. Spiral model. It's important because it's going to show you the drivers. Okay, I select this. Let me see what question. Are we supposed to be able to what? I'm trying to read. Oops. What's the question? I'm sorry. What is the question? I'm trying to understand the
That's all. I
question.
think they were asking if it's going to be recorded. That's all. And the
It
answer
is
is
recorded.
yes. Of
Yeah,
course.
it is
Of
recorded.
course. You're going to
Mhm.
have to watch more than once. There's so much here.
Yes,
So,
exactly. Exactly.
hey, uh,
Yes, yeah, and you watch if there is a clock over here. So if there's something that you see now that you might be interested to see like more than once, maybe there is something that catching your attention. You can write down the time because this clock will be visible when I put the recording, right? It's gonna be part of the recording, so you can write down the timestamp if you want, huh? Or you're trying to understand the drill down? Well, okay, the purpose of the drill down is just to look at the data inside. Let me give you different examples that might make more sense here. Maybe, let's say the grade. Average grade on assignment 1 for data 605. I want to do the average grade, right? But then maybe there are multiple sessions of data 605, right? I want to look at the average grade by the session. So I'm drilling down. That's what it is. Basically, I want to look more granular data. I hope it makes sense. Uh, Another example would be when you have something by the year. Within a year, you can look at something by months. Then within a month, you can look at something by day. And within a day, you can look at something by the hour. So you have a data that has a hierarchical relationship. And you're trying to sort of like navigate that hierarchy. I hope it makes sense. Well, usually time is a good example. Maybe location is a good example where we have country and within the country we have a state. Okay. Well, I hope I answered the question. I'm doing my best. Okay. Now, this one is it's like a bullseye diagram, and I'm gonna see. So here the target is a field of interest, and I drag and drop the claim amount. Right. All right. All right. Now, so see here, I drag and drop the total claim amount. What is this? Driver. Driver is a column or a combination of columns that they can drive or they can be used as a predictor of our column of interest, total claim amount, right? Uh, so take a look at this. So here you have one driver. It's a single column that can drive, that can sort of like used as a predictor of the total claim amount. Then you have a two-way driver and you have a combination that's a multiple columns. So I can unclick this and look at just one-way driver. Why is it important? A one-way driver with the highest predictive strength, eventually, when we do the decision tree model, it's going to be used for the first split. So when you do the tree, right, tree is like a flow chart, the first splitting, and we will cover trees in the next session in detail. If the time allows, I might mention today, but if not, it's going to be in more details next session. Next session will be decision trees, the dashboards, and stories, right? So here I just selected one-way driver. And take a look at this. If I hover, it's just gonna give me the relationship strength. Like see, and then the closer the spin to the center, the higher is the relationship strength. The drivers with relationship strength under 10% are omitted. So this is one-way drivers are very important because they will become important when you build the decision tree model, all right? Then you have a two-way driver, the combinations of two columns, and what is this? This is literally the decision tree, right? When you look at the driver analysis, we look at it. So this is a bull's-eye diagram, right? But there's another way to look at it. It's a bull's-eye diagram sliced, in other words. That's what I call it. So we save it first. Now we're gonna add another one. I go create a single card. I'm gonna do select type. And in this case, I'm just gonna do driver analysis, right? And I'm gonna select my total claim amount, right? What is this here? Well, here, each pin, remember each pin was a one-way drive or two-way drive or multiple, right? Remember? The green one, our scissors, this is a decision tree. And the trick here, the predictive strength of this combination of drivers has to be higher than predictive strength of any of this in order to see this decision tree, right? So it's a 78% predictive strength. Is that? Now if you click on this, you should see, if you click on this, you should see at the bottom, it should show you the visualization. And visualization for this guy here is a decision tree, right? So the visualization that you see is based on what you select, on the driver that you select, and of course you can add this to add this card to your visualizations. So here I looked at this as a bullseye diagram slice. I looked at it this way. You might have a different view of this, but this just shows the predictive strength. And if the more you go to the right, the higher is the predictive strength, right? All right, and another thing that you could do is, see this, I have a set of cards. If I go to the set of cards, I can exclude the columns from predictors. See this? If I click here, there is something that's called edit scope. And if there is a certain column that I don't want to use as a predictor, I can just remove it here. See, I would just remove it here. Or if there is something that else in here that is not used, right, is not one of the recommended fields, I can edit. So there is, it's possible to edit which fields are used or not used by as a predictor. So you just know that piece, okay? I'm very detailed, so. All right, so this is that. So now let's go back to slide. I want to make sure there is a lot to cover. I can be speaking indefinitely. So multiple ways to add visualizations. And I created a video on how to use the assistant, right? You can use it from the home page or you can use it from the exploration. But the main difference is this. See, this is that's the assistant. Oops. The assistant at the top. Oops. That thing, the sharing thing, sometimes I cannot see. Okay, here is the assistant. See this? Well, the big difference here is this. If I use it straight from my exploration, it's going to know which data I'm using as a source. It's going to pick up the data source from this exploration workbook. If I use it on the main page, you would have to specify which data you use as a source. Here, I just pick up, right? See this? It's giving me information about the data. See, getting started. See, it gives me the information about fields in this data. I don't need to do much, right, to show this. See this? It shows me different fields in here, and it shows me their data types, right? Different data types for these fields. And I could click on any of these fields and see more details, right? So here it's just going to show me which fields influence, right? And you can also look at what influences annual premium auto, which is a calculated column, see this, etc. And I can keep on clicking. And sometimes I can get different visualizations here, right? I can get different visualizations. But also what you could do is this. Look, you can do something like suggest questions. And it's going to suggest you the natural language questions that you will ask about your data. Interesting, right? So now I can see what can impact average income. Just an example. I can click on this, and those are the fields that can impact, right? Now let me go up, and I can do something like this here. Which location code has the top total claim amount? See this? So that's an example. I can take this. See this is a visualization, right? See this? The average claim amount per location code. Now, suppose that I want to use this visualization in this workbook. All I have to do is I have to create a new card, right? New card. Now I go back to my assistant and I can just drag and drop this visualization into the card. See, I can reuse it. Then I can make changes. Perhaps if I want to use a different column, I can just change the fields that I use. That's it, right? Isn't it easy? Well, the thing is, you can use it on a home page, but if you use it here, you can add visualizations to your data exploration directly. And this is also available in dashboards that we're going to discuss later. But I did record a couple videos on Assistant, how to use it from the home page and how to use it from this data exploration, right? So see, so you can construct similar questions. You can start from whatever it suggests, right? Like for example, see which location code has a top claim total claim amount. You can also say which vehicle type has a top total claim amount. Something like that. You can play around with this. I leave it up to you to play, but just know that you have this little tool here. There are multiple ways to add visualizations, right? You can use the tool, or you can drag and drop fields directly. A lot of options you have, right? So here, that's a drill down example that I showed you. That's a spiral model, remember? That's our spiral model. You can edit scope. Edit scope means you change in which fields you use, right? So the driver analysis, but important piece in here is that you got what? The decision tree. And the visualization that it shows you, it depends on a column's data type, right? It's just gonna pick the best visualization it thinks for you. Well, we're gonna cover decision tree visualization in detail in the next session, but just to get a brief introduction, well, there are multiple ways you can just click add here, right? It will add the visualization decision tree, or you can just do this, create a new card. But here I can go to choose type and I can choose my decision tree, right? And then I can just go and drag and drop. So this is a numeric target, right? So for the numeric target, we are trying to predict the average. Basically, the whole idea is this. If we have our information about the customers, we know which vehicles they drive, and we know what type of accident they had, right? Given this information, how do we use this information to estimate total claim amount? And what happens if I have new claim, brand new claim? I know customer information, and I know what type of vehicle the customer drives, and I know I have information about the claim itself. How do I use the decision tree to predict the total claim amount, to estimate the total claim amount, right? So I had to play around with this a little bit. So if you click here, there is an option here to see the full screen. That's the only way to make this thing readable. You have to do view the full screen. Then you can close this out, close this window, and close this window. So see that that's a decision tree. You can look at it as a tree. So here, this node here represents all data, 100% all data. If I hover, it's going to tell me the average total claim amount, right? So this is all data in a data source, right? The number of records here. Now what? I'm going to look. Do you remember I told you that the driver with the highest predictive strength is going to be used for the force split? So now it's going to look at the location code and it's going to say, okay, what location code do I have? Is it rural or is it urban or is it suburban? And depending on location code value, it's going to take the path, right? So for example, if it's a suburban, I'm going to take this branch. Now I hover over this node and it's going to tell me what? The average total claim amount for suburban location code. And this is a percentage of data that falls on in that node, right? Now what? Am I done? No, because there is something called the information gain. It's looking at other columns to check, is there a way to gain more information? Is there a way to have a more accurate estimate of the total claim amount? Next, it's looking here at the vehicle class for the next split. It's gonna say, is it a two-door cars, two or four-door cars? Is it an SUV, or is it a luxury car, right? Based on that, we take the next pass. Well, suppose it's a two-door car. I'm gonna hover here, and it's gonna tell me, I have 44% of data, and this is the average total claim amount, but it's an average total claim amount for suburban location code and two-door car, right? Then I can still keep going here. I can go next for the coverage, right? But this is the color code here. The darker the shade, the higher is the total claim amount. So see that I keep going. So that's a coverage, basic, and I keep going. I traverse the tree until I reach the end. And the color code at the end, right, is gonna tell me the average total claim amount. Again, I'm estimating here, right? That's an average claim amount. So, and also what you could do, look, if I click on this, I can select the path to this node. Okay? If I click, I select the path to that node, and it makes it easier to read the rule from the tree, right? So this tree visualizes, it visualizes the rule itself, but it does not quite visualize the percentage of data to which the rule applies. It does not visualize it. I need to hover over each node to see the percentage of rules to which the percentage of data to which the rule applies, right? I need to hover. But is it possible to visualize it? Yes, it is. But first of all, take a look at this. Your nodes can be collapsed. I'm gonna collapse it just on purpose. Collapsed. I'll collapse everything. Oops. You see this? You can collapse, expand and collapse, right? So I'm gonna collapse and I'll show you something here. So now I'm gonna look at this here, the sunburst. Sunburst tells you the percentage of data to which the rule applies. So see here, I have three coverage values: suburban, or urban and rural. See that? So you can see that probably rural, suburban is the most dominant, right? You see the slice. The slice here tells you the percentage of data to which the rule applies. And also, do you see this little thick line? What does that mean? It means that that specific branch of the tree is expandable. There is no line on the rural, because remember, if I looked at the tree diagram, rural does not have any children nodes, right? So that's important. And see, when I collapsed it, there is no shadow here. If there is a shadow, it means the node has children nodes, right? So now I go back to this as a sunburst, right? So now I know that suburban is expandable and I can hover here. It shows me the percentage, 63%. But now what I can do, I can click on suburban to further see what is this. Within the suburban, I'm breaking it down by what's the next one? The vehicle class, right? So this is a location is suburban, and the vehicle class is what? The two-door car, two or four-door car, and this is the percentage of data to which the rule applies, right? So I'm reading it from inside out, but also I'm visualizing, I see the percentage. Those are my luxury cars, and you see there is a small percentage of those, maybe 3%. But those are the luxury cars inside the suburban visualization, right? If I wanted to look at urban, I could click here and expand that branch. So you just get the idea. Then also, that's another way to see this. Those are the actual rules in English language, if you will. Like see here, this is the average premium amount if location code is suburban, and this is the vehicle class, and its coverage type is premium. And that's a percentage of records to which the rule applies, right? That's how you read this piece here. So I gave you an overview of this, but there will be a bigger coverage. Now I go back, exit the full. You really have to do the full screen in order to see those diagrams clearly. All right? Just remember that trick for the decision trees. So those are decision rules, right? I covered the sunburst visualization, and I covered about the assistant, right? I showed you. Oh, this is just one thing that I have not covered is the comparison card. Basically, sometimes I want to look at two visualizations side by side. So I go here and I can add another card. Like, for example, here I'm gonna go, well, you have multiple options here. One option is first to create visualizations and add them to a card, or I can just go here, create the comparison visualization. Now I can do the choose type. Let's perhaps I want to do the, I can do the bar plot. And in here, let me go to the fields. Well, for the fields, I can do something like an average total claim amount, right? So I go here and I find, if I don't see it, well, I see it actually. This is a lens, and perhaps I want to do it, I want each bar to be the state, right? So I can go, I'm gonna find my state here, and I'm gonna drag and drop in here. So this is a state, right? Now I can create another visualization like this, choose type, and I'm gonna go the bar plot. And again, I want to do state for each bar, and the bar length is gonna be the total claim amount, right? And what I'm trying to do is, suppose that I know the gender and I want to compare the total claim amount for the gender. So I'm gonna go and apply the filter. So see, this is here, and I'm gonna find, I think I had the gender here. I type the gender. So now for the first visualization, I need to find the filter here. Filter, local filter. See, I go drag and drop the gender, and I want to do the female. Now notice that for the filter, if it's discrete values, you just select the values. But if it's a numeric, then you would select the range, right? Here, I'm gonna do the female. Now, I'm gonna check this visualization, and I'm gonna also add the gender filter. But in this case, I want to put a male, right? So you can compare two visualizations side by side, right? So let's close this out, and let's close this out. Sometimes I want to know if the gender makes a difference, right? So I can look at this, I can look at the same states. Is it Oklahoma for females and Oklahoma for males? So I see that, and it's gonna try to use the same scale if possible. But take a look at this. Probably you can see that the average total claim amount in Oklahoma for males is slightly higher than for females. And you can compare. See, this is just a comparison. All right? I hope it makes sense. You can look at or you can do two states side by side, perhaps, or you can do, well, male, female is probably easier to explain, right? So this is just a comparison visualization. Just give you idea of what is there, but you decide, you look at the assignment requirements, stick to requirements, but you know. Oh, and another thing, I'm gonna give you a hint here. Last semester, students had difficulties with questions 9 and 10 on a quiz. There is a video in here that's gonna help you a lot. It's called the summary visualization. So if you understand this, if you watch this visualization as an example, your quiz question 9 and 10 is going to be very easy. Well, here you're just watching the similar example, but on a different data, all right? Where you're applying the filters. So you will see what the question is. You will see if you work through the tutorial. But I think this video here will help you with answering questions 9 and 10. All right, it's not going to give you the answer, but it's going to show you how to, you know, it's gonna show you an example. So basically, I'm showing you an example with one data, and you're gonna do something similar on a different data, right? So that's a list, and I included the URL in this slide deck. This is a URL to this playlist, and more will be added, of course. All right, so any questions for me, guys? Oh, I finished in an hour and a half. Last time it took 2 hours. All right. Any questions for me, guys? Please, please. I want you to ask questions. And before I forgot, very important, when you log into Cognos, Let me close this. Please make sure that you see those folders here in the team content. The way it is set up is that your account gives you access, right? But I had to do something extra to let you see these folders, okay? There was an extra step that I had to take. Once in a while, one student could get missed, okay? Once in a while. Doesn't happen usually, but all right. So anything else you would like me to explain? Anything, any questions, any concerns?
Hi, can you hear me?
I'm sure you will have questions as you work on this, right?
Hello?
All right. Questions going once, going twice. All right. If there are no questions, we're gonna call it a night. And as I promised, you're gonna get the recording. Oh yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Questions, go ahead. You can unmute yourself and ask. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Hello?
oh, is it okay to tag me? Well, basically, what's gonna happen is that you're gonna use a Salesforce. You submit a ticket in the Salesforce, and you uh you will be submitting the tickets of sale in a Salesforce, so either Mike or me will pick up. Mostly Mike will handle, but if it's something that requires an administrative attention, then I'll step in. Something like sometimes something happens. Well, usually see that you need to see those folders in the team content. If you don't see that, then it's an easy fix. I know how to fix it, but you have to have admin access to fix. So if anything requires admin access, I'll step in. If Mike needs help, he's gonna let me know. All right. So
Excellent.
yeah.
Hello? Can you
Thank
hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
thankfully, I don't know why I was trying to talk and it wouldn't let me. I mean, nobody was listening. Okay,
Mhm.
so thank you for your class. It was great. Can you show me again how do you? So I am here in Cognos right now, and I see team content, and then I see data for data.
Mhm.
So 5 assignments. Okay, so and then
Mhm.
once I click there, where do I go from there? I go to unit quiz assignment. We
Okay. Yes. Yes. This is a unit 2 assignment, and you need to make a copy of that file to my content. Yes.
Oh yeah, this is what I was trying to. Oh, okay. So
Yes.
copy to uh
Yes. You need to
my
make a copy.
content.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, got
Yes.
it.
Everything you make a copy, because this is just like a common area where I put stuff and you copy, right? And the
Yeah, so
there's instructions are in the course content somewhere.
oh okay. Thank you. I missed the very beginning of the class, so but thank you so
Oh,
much for doing that. Thank you.
yeah. But the thing is, yeah, it's in a classroom. So, but it's very important when you log into Cognos. This is a mistake the students make. They go in and they put their Leo password. No, that's not no, it's not your Leo password. The password is welcome, right? And it's in the slides. Uh, mm, Here you want to do the walkthrough first because the questions on the quiz require doing the hands-on. The questions on the quiz too, you need to do the hands-on first. All right? And please, I recommend you to watch where the slides. Okay, the slides I'll give it to your faculty because I don't have access to post the slides directly. I'll give it to your instructors, and the instructors will post it in a classroom. All right. I need to give the slides to all professors. I'm gonna send an email. The recording, the slides, everything, right? So
Thank
they're gonna get it, and then they will post it because see, for me, my access is read only. I cannot do anything. I cannot post it anything. I can just log in and like see, right? See the content, but I cannot do anything like posting announcement. The instructor will do it, right? So that will be done by instructor. I'm gonna send an email. So no worries about that. I'll take care of it. All right? Don't worry. So yeah, you need to watch. I would recommend you to watch and understand it first, because how you gonna take a quiz if you need to get an understanding, right? Oh, okay. The instruction. Okay. The instructions there should be in the assignment. How do you get to which screen? This screen? Okay. When you log in, right? This is the home page. Do you see that this is the home page? No worries. So this is a home page. You're gonna click here. You're gonna click here, and you're gonna go to content. It's gonna take you to this page. See my content, team content. All right. Another way. There is another way. I'll show you. So this is a home page, right? Do you see it here? It says view all content. On the home page here, it's gonna show you. See right now, I scroll down. It showed me what I recently accessed. This is recent. I can also click on view all content. I can get this way to that page too. See, there are multiple ways, right? You can use the menu here, or you can click on view all content, right? So hopefully, did it help, guys? I hope it helped. I hope it helped, guys. And there will be more videos. I keep on recording as things come up or if I see something. But I do know that last semester students had trouble with questions 9 and 10 on a quiz. But if you do watch the recording of the similar summary visualization, you'll get an idea and it will help you with the quiz. All right? I hope it makes sense.
Thank you, Elena, very helpful. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. I said to contact me first if it's something that we would escalate to you, or if it's a technical software issue, that's something else. But you know, I would be the first point of contact there. That way, not to inundate Elena with requests. But if it's something that certainly is her level of expertise, we'll reach out just as well. So thank you. This is just all great information. Please review the recording, and any questions, we'll go from there.
Yes. And there will be
Thank
one more session. Yes, there will be
That's
second
great.
session in the month
Great.
from
I will post that as well.
Oh, thank
Anybody
you
else?
very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for attending. So
Thank
more
you.
questions? I'm checking the chat. Okay. There should not be any issues with Mark because you're logging into the remote workstation. Oh, my contact info? Well, you submit the tickets and I'll see it. You submit the Salesforce ticket. All right? Or I can I can add my contact information to the slides, but basically students submit the ticket. That's how it is. All right? All right, so I'm gonna Yes, I'm gonna see you in about 4 weeks from now. I'm gonna there will be an announcement, right? I'm gonna send the meeting invite in advance. All right? Yes. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the recording and stop sharing if there are no questions, right?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys. So the recording. What is it? All right.